Well, welcome everybody. We're going to talk about working with linking to Revit and BIM 360 design. So let's just first talk a little bit about design collaboration. It is a BIM 360 module, and it's been designed to dramatically improve the multi-firm project team's ability to meet the demands of a modern project. Each project that we work on requires unique approaches and has different dynamics between the teams that are tasked with delivering those budgets on time. So based on this diversity, design collaboration allows teams to choose how they work with other teams or other disciplines. So sometimes they need to be in constant sync, while in other cases they may need to control the exchange of information between each other. In this presentation, we'll be focused on the BIM 360 collaboration module and the linking functionality that it provides. If you'd like more information on the overall process of creating projects with BIM 360 design, the workflow, and so forth, by all means, you can put some comments in the survey and we can get back to you on that and follow up with you. So each discipline or team has their own working folder in BIM 360 where their work is stored. Each team member is given rights to work in their team folder within the project. Permissions to other folders can be given by the project admin depending on the workflow that's chosen for the project. But for the most part, each team kind of works in their own folder, similar to having like their own little server, and then permission can be granted to others as needed. So there are three workflow options when linking Revit files to BIM 360 models. So we've got the live linking, which is your basic linking option, and is similar to multiple teams linking to each other's work shared models on a local server. With live linking, teams link work shared Revit models from BIM 360 directly to their Revit hosted model. When changes are made to a model that is linked into a team's host model, the changes are updated automatically when the host is reopened or a reload is performed on that linked model. With this option, all teams would need at least viewing rights to each other's team folder, which may not be ideal. Our other option is linking Revit models via the project shared folder, which allows each discipline or team to decide when they are ready to share their latest updated model with the rest of the project. So instead of it being live, we now have each team can decide when they're going to share their model with the other team members. In this workflow, a copy of the working model will be placed into a project shared folder that can be used to link to. So each team will then point to the project shared folder to link in another team's model. The linked models will be updated when you reload the selected model. With this option, all teams will need the viewing rights to the shared folder. So they don't need to have access to your team's folder anymore, but they will need to have viewing rights to the shared folder. And then our next and last option for linking BIM 360 shared models is working with a shared link. So the team linking in another team's model can control when the linked model is actually updated in their hosted model. So you're not beholden to when you reload and it automatically showing the changes. You control when those changes are actually updated in your model. Each team can review the changes that were made to the latest shared model, and if they decide they're ready to update the model, they can consume the shared model. Through this consume process, it actually takes and moves the file to their working team's folder and puts it into a consumed folder so that the team can continually to work within their own team environment. So if you're the architect, you'll have an architectural team folder and all of your work can be done there through the consume process instead of having to have access to another team's folder or to the shared folder. For linking, you can always still put things in the shared folder, but we're talking about linking for this. Two things need to happen to get started with linking. In Revit, the models first must be uploaded to the cloud and work sharing initiated. The Collaborate button will upload and enable work sharing for that cloud model. So if you've got a new project, you're going to be uploading a file from Revit, you'll select that Collaborate button and follow the process to upload that model and enable work sharing. This puts the Revit file in its own special location that can only be seen by Revit. When initiating work sharing, a copy of the current model is also published to BIM 360 Docs. So if you go to BIM 360 Docs and take a look, you'll see a published model. That is not the same thing as the work shared model. Initially, when you enable work sharing, it's going to publish a model to the cloud, and it is a duplicate at that point in time of the work shared model. However, it does not have work sharing enabled. As soon as you save the Revit file again and save to Central, those files will no longer be the same. That published model is primarily used for the non-Revit users who don't need to see all the changes throughout the process of the design. All right. You can always republish a model if you've done a save to Central and quite a few changes have been made and you want to let the non-Revit users see what's changed. You can always publish the model again to BIM 360 Docs to update that. If you have not defined the published settings as far as what views will be published when that model is updated, only the 3D view will be published. But you can go into Publish Settings and you can define what views are actually published to the cloud. When you're ready, you can hit Manage Cloud Models and that will update. You can update that last published model. All right. Just an overview, quick overview in the BIM 360. Once I've published those models, initiated the work sharing and published those models, it's going to head and put that file into the folder I designated so that I can link to it through Revit, or people can see the non-work shared model directly in BIM 360. So once a model has had cloud work sharing initiated, you can access that model by simply opening the file from the project list or the home screen. The easiest way to access your BIM 360 work shared model is to use the BIM 360 project browser on your Revit home screen. Once you have opened and saved a Revit cloud that's work shared, it will also display on your home screen for easy access. The cube with the cloud denotes that this is a work shared file and that it is shared to the cloud. If you only see the cube, then that is saved locally to your server, not to the cloud. So a work shared file has the cube, but the work shared file in the cloud, it'll have the little cloud symbol. If there's nothing here, it is a non-work shared file that you're accessing. So now that we've got our work shared models in the BIM 360 environment, we can dive into linking those models. One other note, you want to make sure that when you are connecting to a Revit file and opening it up, use your dashboard. If you try to navigate to it, you can do so, but make sure you do not go to the BIM 360 drive. That will not allow you access to the work shared model, but to the actual static published model that we discussed a minute ago. So the first thing we're going to look at is live linking, a direct link to another team's model. So if within your company you have a project model that's split up and you want to reference each other's Revit model, live linking is a good option. You'll quickly see the changes in the live link model. This can also be used for different teams or disciplines. However, those other teams will need, at a minimum, viewing permissions to your team's folder. So the first step to linking to any Revit model is to initiate your Revit linking. By default, the search will start in your project folder. Select the project files folder and continue to navigate to the project folder that contains the model you want to link, and then just select that linked file. If you need to restart the search, be sure to use the external resources icon to access the work shared Revit model. You don't want to navigate to the external drive, but to the shared resources. If you don't see the folder or the file that you want to link in, you don't have sufficient rights to access the team project folder. You will need to have at least viewing permissions, so you'll need to get with the project admin to make sure you have those. You can utilize the Manage Links tab to verify the link's path. In this image, we can see that the structural file that was live linked in is indeed pointing directly to the structural team folder within the project. So I've got my BIM 360 Cloud, I've got my project files, this is my structural team, and then the full file is within the structural team folder. When live linking through Revit, you're automatically connected to the work shared model in that designated folder. And keep in mind that the file displayed in the same folder in BIM 360 is the latest published file from Revit and is static. So if you were to compare these two, the BIM 360 Cloud version of the structural file and the one we have linked in, they may not be the same. So just to clarify that. To view the live link changes, you can update a link file in BIM 360 environment. It's similar to updating a link file when you're working on a local server. When you reopen the model, the links are reloaded and updated. If the model with the linked files is open when the new changes are saved to the central model, you will need to manually reload the linked model. Otherwise, reload latest will work. So basically, if you have any trouble with reload latest, either use your manage links or right-click directly on that link file to reload it. To be safe, I just use this one. That way I don't have to worry about if a file was open or if reload latest didn't work. But either way will work. Let's see. So once the link file is reloaded, you'll see the latest work shared model that you've linked into your host. Just a quick recap on the live linking. All teams will need to initiate collaboration for their model to enable work sharing so that the rest of the teams can utilize linking. When collaboration is launched, the model will automatically have work sharing enabled, and at a minimum, a 3D model will be published to BIM 360. Users can view where the published model is located by viewing the team folder in BIM 360. Once the location of the file to be linked is verified, you can open up the host model in Revit, select Revit links, or manage links to navigate to the Revit model to be linked and add the model. Periodically, you'll want to reload the linked model to see updates. An advanced user may also want to enable copy monitor between the host and the model. And the work shared Revit model is only accessible through Revit. Project members will need the view permissions to team folders. Okay, so the one shortcoming on this is that you have to give other teams access to your team's working folder. View only permissions, but they do need to have permissions. So let's take a look at the linking packaged model. So as the model host, you may only want to share the model with other teams after major changes or a designated benchmark. If you're linking in another team's file, you may not need or want to see every change that's happening within the linked model throughout the design process. This is one of the benefits of linking to a shared package model. Another benefit to this option is that it provides other teams access to the model in a common shared folder for linking instead of your team's folder. This is also where the process starts for both linking to a shared model or the next one we'll look at, which is the consumed model. The process of putting a team's model in the shared folder is required for both of these workflows. Let's start with sharing a published model by packaging the views we want to share. We first want to make sure that our latest Revit model is saved to Central and published to BIM 360 Docs. When you open up BIM 360's Design Collaboration module, if BIM 360 notices that the latest published version of the Revit model is not current, you will have an option to update the published model within Design Collaboration before creating a package to share. To put the latest published version of the model in a shared folder, you'll want to expand that swim lane. Select the team that will be publishing their model to activate their swim lane timeline. So in this case here, structure is active. The bottom one is your active swim lane. You may only be able to activate your swim lane depending on your permissions. So if I'm the structural engineer, I may only have permissions to create a package for my team. The active team can now create a package to share by selecting the Create Package symbol. From here, we can review the latest published model and create a package. In the viewer, you can view the changes to the model by selecting the Compare button or the Change Visualization button. And we can visualize the changes to the model before we actually create a package. This can be done by you, or it can be done by another team once this package is created. It's pretty versatile. So once we've reviewed the package, and we're sure this is the latest one, and we want to go ahead and review the model, and we want to go ahead and create a package, you can exit those changes and select the views that we want to actually place into the package. So in this case, it's just the model. If I wanted to also place some sheets in there or other views, I could expand those out and select those as well. Once I'm ready to go ahead, I'm done selecting our different views, I can hit Save. Once I have my views saved, I can select Share. Once I select Share, that will place that into the shared folder that other teams can then access the link in model. Okay, so once we've selected our Share button, then we've got that new file that's been placed into that shared folder. With the latest copy of the model in the shared folder, those that have been given a minimum of viewing rights to the shared folder in the project can link the models into the shared folder. If the file is already linked to a model from the shared folder, once the updated shared model is available, all Revit host models can reload the linked model to update that shared model. If your model doesn't update, or you need to go ahead and attach it, you can go in there to Manage Links, and you can look at the path. You'll see here that instead of going to Project Files Architecture, I've gone to my Shared folder. And then I've navigated to the architectural folder below the shared folder, and then to the architectural file. So I've linked in the shared architectural model. This gives the architect some control as far as what is shared, and it also places it into that shared folder so that people are not accessing their team folder directly. So a recap on the shared linking. Again, all teams need to initiate collaboration for their model to enable work sharing so that the rest of the team can utilize linking. When collaboration is launched, the model will automatically have the work sharing enabled, and at a minimum, that 3D model will be published. If you want more, you'll need to go back to the published settings and determine what other views you might want to publish. Save Essential and publish the latest model. And then the users can view where the published model is located by viewing the Teams folder in BIM 360. To package and share the team, open up Design Collaboration, select the swim lane timeline to activate it. You're going to select Create a Package, review the changes to the model, select and save the views that are to be shared, and select Share. Once Share has been selected, it'll put that into that shared folder. In Revit, they can open up the host model again and initiate links or update those links. And they can periodically reload those. And then again, if you want, you can enable the copy monitoring as well. So the consume folder builds on top of the shared model, or the shared linking that we just discussed. So although linking to the shared folder keeps other project members from getting access to your team's working folder, what if you don't want to automatically incorporate another team's changes as soon as that package is created and shared? That's where the consuming package comes in. This gives your team the control to decide when to incorporate another team's model into your design environment. Once another team has followed the previous steps to create a package, your team can explore the newly shared packages in BIM 360 collaboration module by selecting the open circle in the timeline. So here, if I am the mechanical and I want to, from the mechanical, and I want to consume the structural team's latest package, I can select on the open circle so that I can view the structural latest package. By clicking the Explore symbol, or the Explore button here, I can open up and view, much like we looked at in the sharing workflow, the changes that have been made to that model. I can look and see what's changed, what's been added, what's been removed. And then if I'm happy with that, I can go ahead and consume that model. So I can explore it. I can see what's changed. I can select on items, see what's changed. I can do a comparison if I want to, and then hit consume when I'm ready to update that linked file. When that file is updated, once we consume that file and it's updated, it's going to place that updated model within my team environment. So here is the mechanical team. I have a consume folder, and each one of the files that I'm linking in, or I have consumed to link in, are placed within that consume folder. So one of the benefits of this workflow is, one, I'm controlling when other teams' link files are updated. Also, I'm continuing to work within my team environment. I do not need to have permissions to other teams' folders. I can continue to work within my team. All right, so just a quick review on that one. The same initial steps to share the BIM 360 model are followed. To consume a shared model, a team will activate the swim lane, select the open circle on the timeline, and review it, and then select consume when they are ready to update the model. They can return to Revit, and then they can refresh their model, or if it's new, they can link to the consume folder within their own team environment. So let's do a quick little demo here on a couple of these. So let's, here's our structural model here. If I go ahead and take a look at our one of our columns, you'll see that the base offset is -4 inches. If I open up the architectural model here on my landing page, I can see that it's got the little cloud. I'll go ahead and open it up directly there. It's going to put a local file on my machine for me to work. If you haven't worked with BIM 360 before, that initial launch can be a little bit, take a couple of seconds, but after that it moves pretty quickly. So I can see here that my linked model also shows what I've got in my structure model. If I go up to my Manage tab and I take a look at my links, we can see here that this is linking directly to the project file's structure folder. So I have to have access to the structural folder to link in their model. If I was to come over here and we take our column and we say we want to select all of these, and let's say we move them to an elevation of 1 foot. Okay, so move our footings too. Save that to central. Give that a second to save. Now, because my architectural model is open when these changes were made, even if I say reload from, it's not going to update my structural linked file. So that's why I just come on down here and just say reload here, or you can go to manage links, either one. And then we'll be able to see that update. Of course, if you closed up the architectural model, you'd see it there also. So if you didn't see those move, you can see now that it's at 1 foot. Okay. So let's change this here. We're going to manage links. I'm going to point this folder. And if I come in here and I go to my project files, you'll see it automatically took me right to my project. So you shouldn't have to go and search with the external links. But if you need to, just make sure you use external links. I'll go to my project files. And I'm going to go to this shared folder. And we'll go to our structural file. Now, we have not published anything yet, so let me show you what happens. Notice that these are back down where they were before. This structural model here, it is live, so I've updated the structural model. I've linked to this live model initially with the architect's model, so it showed me that live linking. To update that architectural model now that it's looking at the shared folder, I need to go through and publish this. So in addition to saving to central, I also need to go up and publish. So under my collaborate, I want to manage my models and publish a new version. Your publish settings is where you determine what's going to be published. And then under manage models is where we actually go in and update our published model. So here under the architect or structural model, I can see that there's an update waiting to happen. There's a little arrow there. It has a little green star. It's letting you know it's already current. We'll go ahead and publish that. That might take a second. And you can see that it's still publishing. It's a little arrow goes up and down. But once that's done, we'll know that it's published. If you do try to relink it before this is done publishing, you may not get the update. You may have to go back and refresh it again in a minute. So we'll give it a second and let it update. Okay. If we take a look at our BIM 360, you can see here that it's also showing us that it's updating that file. So I'm in my project files, structure, and it's still updating. While that's doing that, let's go ahead and we'll open up our design collaboration module so that we're ready to create a package here. Still going there. Let's come back over here. So we got a little green check. Okay, so it's done publishing it. It may still be loading it over here. So let's take a look. Let's refresh here. Again, this is not something you do all the time. So once you publish something up, take a second, go over and reload it. I probably should have logged back in and logged out again, or logged out and logged back in. Like it's a little slow. Structure. If I pick on structure and I expand this out, you can see where it shows me that I've created a new package. So there's the package that I just created on 6/18. Okay, so when I'm sorry, not package, that's when I published. So I published from Revit, and it creates a square box letting me know when that was published. Once I have the latest model published, then I can create my package. Let's make sure our model is finished updating. Okay, so here's our model. We can take a look at it, select on this column here, and we can take a look at its properties. And then we can see here under our base level, it's at 1 foot. So we've updated that model from Revit. We've published it out to BIM 360, and I now can view that change here in design collaboration. So I'm going to create a new package. I can choose what do I want to have in that package. I'm just going to place the model in that package so that others can link into the model. Once I've selected the views that I want, I published other views, but I don't need those. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it as the model and save that. Once I've saved the views, I can go ahead and share that. You can put a description in here so that others will know what was in that package if you want, if it's a benchmark, depending on what you need. All right, and then we can go ahead and share that. Okay, so I can see here on my timeline now, I've got a filled in circle for 6/18. Structure 12 is the 12th time I've done this, or had to create a new package. And so now I have a new package that is in my shared folder. I come over here and take a look at our shared folder under structure. We can see here that we've got the June 18th, that's the 9th version. There's our file. So back in Revit, for my architectural file that is pointing to that shared folder, we take a look at this here. You'll see it's still not showing that 1 foot, so we'll need to reload that structural file. I can reload. And so it makes that adjustment. So the difference here is that it wasn't live, that when I just regened, it automatically showed up. I first need to go to the shared folder and link there. Then once I refresh it, it shows up. So it's not live linking. It's only going to update when someone creates a new package. Now let's say, let me go ahead and close, let me save this. And we'll open up the mechanical model. Let's close this one out. And let's open up our mechanical, our systems here. On the systems, if we want to go through the consume process, We have one more step that we'll go through. So let's first take a look at our linked file here. So if we go to our Manage, go to our links, and we take a look at our linked file, we can see that this one here is in the consumed folder. Okay. So again, if I take a look at this structural model, you'll see it still says it's 0.4 has not updated. If I redirected that to the shared folder, it would update. But I want to have some control over when that structural model updates. So when I'm ready to go in and look at that shared model and say, yes, I want to update my linked model from structure, that's where the consumed comes in. So we'll come back up here to our design collaboration. I'm going to become the mechanical engineer here. So I've got my mechanical. This is my swim lane. I can see the last time I published, but I don't see where I've consumed another team's model. The way I can tell is there's an open circle here. So that means that these two people have actually published and shared models, but I have yet to consume them. The last time I consumed one was yesterday. Okay? For the architect, I have not consumed any of them. I don't even have them linked in at this point in time. So if I want to consume the structure's latest published and shared model, I can click on the little open circle. If I want to see the changes before I consume it, I can hit Show Changes. And it will show me what has been changed in that model. I can also turn on and off the show visualization, but it shows me that I have 18 items that have changed. If I want to select on one of those, I can see what the change was. It's a little hard to see the column change, but if we pick the footer, we can see that that footer is adjusted along with the column. So if I'm fine with the changes that have been made and I'm ready to update my model that I'm linked in, I can say Consume. Just telling me it's about to consume it, and it's going to bring it into your team space and update the linked model. I'll say Consume. And you'll see now that the circle is filled. So if someone has shared a package from another team, and you have your team active, it will show as open until you consume it. Once you consume it, it'll tell you there that it was consumed and what date you consumed it on. If you haven't yet consumed it, you'll see that it just states that it was shared. It's in a shared folder, but not yet been consumed by you. You do want to make sure that your team is active at the bottom before you do this, and more than likely, you probably only have rights to activate your team. If you have that rights for more than one, just make sure yours is selected and at the bottom. And you can also expand out your team, to see when you've published as well as other teams. So let's go back over to Revit. And again, if we take a look at that, you'll see it's not yet updated because I have not refreshed that link. So let's go ahead and reload that link as well. So in this option here, I'm controlling when that latest model is put into the folder that I'm working in with my team. Now it's updated. If we go back one more time to our BIM 360 and I take a look in our mechanical folder here, you'll see I have a consumed folder. Let's click on this over here. So here's my consumed folder. If I click on my consumed folder, I can see here I have a structural folder and that it was last updated today. So that last file, that last structural file that I just consumed is now placed in my working team folder under consumed structure. I can do the same thing and bring in the architectural file. I may not have it linked yet, but it would be there ready to be linked because I've consumed it. So just a couple of things to wrap up I want to talk about before we go, and that is, well, let me check and see if we have any questions. Yep, we've got a few. I I've got one that says, can you publish drawing files for consultants who only need CAD-based files? I will touch on that in just a minute, Anna. Let me first talk about some of the issues you might run into that I see, and then I'll come back to that question. If you can't see a project, but you've been invited, make sure that you've been given the permissions. You have to have at least viewing permissions to link in. Not everybody on the team may necessarily need design collaboration permissions because you only need viewing in docs to link in. But if you are tasked with creating packages or consuming packages, you will need to have editing permissions to design collaboration. So if you're having trouble getting into design collaboration or using it, make sure whoever set up the project is giving you at least editing permissions and has given you access to the design collaboration service. And then also too, you'll want to check to make sure that the teams are also set up. So if you don't see the options on your swim lane here, make sure that the project manager has set up the teams. Each one of these designates a team, and the project admin needs to set that up. As far as Anna's question, that's a very good question. You can link in non-Revit work shared files. It is a little bit different than it is with the work shared files. If someone uploads a file and has not enabled work sharing, I just directly drag and dropped this furniture file. This could be an AutoCAD file as well. You can link into those files. If we come back over to Revit, in this case, if you're going to link in a file that is not work shared or is just an AutoCAD file, when you want to link in the file, I'm going to link in a Revit file just because that's what I have available to you, but you could also link in a CAD file. Instead of going to the shared reference that we have here, the external reference here, you will actually navigate to the BIM 360 folder. So you'll need to come down to My Computer, and you should have a BIM 360 drive here. So that's similar to linking to an external drive. And then I can drill down to my project. It's not going to know by default the project you're looking for, but it will need to be the same project. The file will need to be in the project. So here I've got interiors. So I can link in this furniture plan to our structural plan just so you can see it clearly. And so it's going to bring that file in. Now that is a static file, much like an AutoCAD file. It would be somewhat static unless they've got access and they're updating it. So yes, you can link in a non-work shared file that's Revit or AutoCAD. You're just going to use your BIM 360 drive versus the external references that we would use for live linking or for a work shared linking. Any other questions before we wrap up? Give you a minute to type something in if anybody has some. And again, if there's other things about BIM 360 design or docs or the other suites of tools available for BIM 360, make a note on your survey. We also do have a quick start class that we teach every few weeks on BIM 360 design, getting started for both the admins and just the team members. So if you want some more information on that or set something up for your company, let us know. We'd be happy to talk to you about that. All right, Ashley, I don't see any other questions, so I think we're good to wrap up.
All right. Well, thank you, Alice, for the presentation, and thank you all for attending today. If you do think of questions later, you can simply reply to that confirmation or reminder email that you received from GoToWebinar, and we can get those to Alice or your sales rep to get your questions answered. Once again, if you would fill out the short survey, it will just pop up as we close down today, and we would appreciate it. And again, you will receive an email tomorrow containing a link to the recording. So have a great day, everyone, and thanks a lot.